I'll never forget it. I see the street, I see the bus station, and I read these words, coloreds to the back. And my mother snatches my hand, spins me around, and she said, don't read it. But I kept asking her, what did that mean? And eventually she had to explain that to me. It broke my heart.
I always wanted to sit on the front seat and watch the bus driver drive. And every time I got on the bus, I would plop myself down right on the front seat. My mother, that would drive my mother crazy because she was always headed to the back of the bus.
And we're stopped at a stoplight. So I asked us, why are we rolling up our windows? It's the summer and it's hot. And she goes, well, you know, we got to be careful because there's black people in this neighborhood and we don't want them coming in and trying to rob us. You know, so that was my first real, like, in your face, like, wow.
Everything was segregated. We had the black beach, which was Bayshore, and the white beach, which was Buckrow. Now, I worked at the white beach, but I could not attend.
I grew up in a neighborhood that was 99.9% African American.
I grew up on the east side of Buffalo, Broadway, Fillmore area. When I was 14 and a half, I went to work in a restaurant working with 3 people of color. These people kind of took me under their wings, adopted me, and proceeded to really watch out for me when I was at work. That was the first time I really had the experience of understanding that this issue of race, creed, or color was not as significant as I had grown up believing.
I learned very early on that we didn't consider ourselves white. We were actually taught to be afraid of whites. My accent was very heavy, Mexican accent. I remember sitting in front of a mirror at home practicing words just so that I wouldn't be made fun of.
I was a teenager when my parents bought a house in the Fruit Belt. It was not too long after the Kensington Expressway was put in, where people's houses were being devalued because of the expressway.
My father is a veteran. He was not offered a FHA loan to move to Cheektowaga or Amherst or anywhere else, but he was offered an FHA loan to move on Emsley Street. White people lived between Smith and Fillmore, and black people lived between Smith and Emsley. There was a big line painted in the street. And on one side of the line it said Africa, and on the other side of the line it said United States of America.
I was one of the first that was bussed out in the 4th grade and going into an all-white neighborhood. Well, I came home and told my mother, I said, you know what? I'm the only black girl in the classroom.
I actually grew up in the Mississippi, in the South. So I grew up in an era of Jim Crow and racial segregation. So my grandmother, who was a committed Christian, was horrified by this, and she started organizing meals of African Americans and white people. And I had this image of people singing together, black hands and white hands being held together. And this, as just a little boy, this made a deep impact on me.
I didn't have any lawyers and doctors in my family to look up to say, I want to be like them. In fact, I remember when I was little, even telling my grandmother, saying, I think when I grow up, I want to be a lawyer. And she patted me on my head and said, you know, that's cute. But it wasn't something that was attainable.
I'm 36 now, just turned 36. I can tell you, when I turned 21, I cried. When I turned 25, I cried. When I turned 30, it was a big, I didn't cry then, but it was a big moment because coming up from where I was, the odds are against me, you know? The odds are against a lot of young black men.
Racial Equity Roundtable is a group of people of various backgrounds that can touch a large number of people.
We've all come together with one common goal in mind.
These people around the table look at each other in the eyes and say, we're here, we're committed, we promise, we must.
And there was such a compelling case revealed in the data. It's said that we don't have any other choice but to correct this, and the time is now.
Here we have all this renaissance, resurgence, new buildings, new things going on, but yet we have in the city of Buffalo 40,000 African Americans living in poverty.
We are leaving talent on the table if we don't bring everybody in to Buffalo's renaissance.
We don't just want to see new buildings. We want to see neighborhoods that are coming around them and being successful for all people.
There's nothing I'd like to see more than us using this platform of success that we've experienced the last 5 years and really use that as a springboard to embrace diversity and embrace economic opportunity for all people in Buffalo.
The Say Yes initiative really demonstrated to me that we can do this.
Racial equity is the opportunity to pursue dreams, aspirations, talents, unaffected by your racial composition.
We all want the same thing. It doesn't matter where you're from. We all want to be healthy, we want to be happy, we want to be prosperous.
We talk about One Buffalo, let's see if we really are, right? Let's make this one community for everybody.
I think that this is the most important thing that Buffalo has to do.
We need to decide, do we want to be a community known for high concentration of poverty or prosperity that's shared by everyone, everywhere?
Racial equity is the way of the future. It is the key to unlocking the full potential of this community.
We can do it here in Buffalo. We can become a national and international model, transform lives in this community, and through the work that we're doing here, transform lives across the country.
Join the conversation. Join the action.
Join us.
Join us.
Come join us.
Join us.